name is Kate Flanagan. I'm a graduate student at Mercy College, and today I'm going to help share a closer look at Piaget, a famous Swiss psychologist. Piaget was a scientist from the start. He was born in Switzerland on August 9th in 1896. He was the firstborn in his family, and he was also the only son, having two younger sisters. His father was a professor and really put an immense value on academics, not taking things just for as they are being seen, but researching and understanding the scientific reason behind why things happen. His mother was full of energy and also slightly neurotic. Some people believe that this is probably what influenced him to go into the field of psychology. Both parents encouraged his curiosity in science and academics from a very early age. Piaget showed a great interest in learning and understanding animals and the natural world around him, often opting to research, read, and write over other recreational activities that children his age would normally have been drawn to. Jean Piaget's first real passion was zoology. He began studying birds at a very young age and wrote a science book called Our Birds, which actually was noted and recognized in the field of science. He went on to complete his doctorate in zoology in 1918. Following him receiving his doctorate, he began thinking much more complexly about how humans develop. Piaget was well educated on the biological view of human nature. However, he was also raised in a very religious family. He found himself conflicted between religion and biology. This conflict drove him to research and better understand how humans, especially children, learn and develop. He enrolled in psychology at the University of Zurich, and he immersed himself in the teachings of some very influential psychologists, including Carl Jung, Eugene Bleuler, Cyril Burt, and Alfred Binet, who's well known for the intelligence test. He was very driven by one main question: how do children learn? One of his first professional assignments found him in Paris working under Alfred Binet. His assignment was to administer and standardize intelligence exams for children. He did so, and he did so well. However, it led Piaget to think more complexly about children and intelligence. He didn't feel that evaluating what answers they gave and normalizing intelligence scales was really enough. What Piaget wanted to understand was, how did these children arrive at their answers? Whether right or wrong, it's the process of how they arrived at them that really fascinated him. His passion became studying children through naturalistic observation. This is one of the things that Piaget is most known for. He would get down to their level, play simple games, watch how they observed objects, ask questions, and he felt that this was the true way to understand how they think and learn. Piaget got married, and he had 3 children of his own, 2 daughters and a son. These became his number one studies. He intensely studied his 3 children from infancy to adolescence, and they were greatly impactful in informing his theory of cognitive development. The key concepts of Piaget's theory involve how we interpret information to learn concepts. There's 3 main ways that we do this. We have schema, which is a concept that helps us categorize and interpret information. A schema is our framework for understanding a certain subject. Next, there is assimilation, which is an adjustment of a schema when we are acquiring new information that is similar to what we already know. This new information fits nicely in with what we know, and therefore it creates kind of a harmonious, deeper understanding of this schema. Alternatively, we sometimes need to work through accommodation, and that's an adjustment of a schema. This is when we acquire information that differs from what we already know. So then we need to change our schema because the new information conflicts what we already understood. These three theories are what really help us understand Piaget's cognitive development theory. He had one of the most influential and notable theories for cognitive development, and it takes place in 4 distinct stages. These stages are sensory motor, pre-operational, concrete operational, and formal operational. In the sensory motor stage, which is infancy, 0 to 2 years old, everything we know and understand is because of a direct sensation or a direct physical contact that we've had. So we use our senses, touch, taste, vision, hearing, and thinking to know and understand the world around us. But that's it. It's only what's in front of us, and that is as far as our understanding goes. The next stage is pre-operational, and that's when we begin to have a bit deeper of an understanding, and we can use words and visuals to represent the concepts of what we know. Then we move on to concrete operational, which allows us to create like patterns for our understanding, but not yet using abstract thinking, which comes in the formal operational stage, 11 and beyond. So the milestones that we undergo when we travel through Piaget's stages of development, the first is object permanence. This is not necessarily understood until after 2 years old, and this involves understanding that something continues to exist even if we can't see it. Before we understand object permanence, it's really what we see is what we get. And that's why the game of peekaboo, which the picture here is of, is so fun for a child. Symbolic thinking is the ability to think about objects and events that are not within our immediate environment, using signs, symbols, concepts, and abstract relations. Next is the theory of conservation, and this usually happens around age 7. Children understand that an object's properties do not change even though it might look different. And I have a great video that I will share in a minute to kind of demonstrate this knowledge. And then the final stage, which happens in adolescence and continues for throughout the rest of our lifetime, is abstract thinking. And that's the ability to think about a problem, and we don't necessarily need to have had previous experience or a visual representation to think through that problem and hypothesize how something might end up occurring.
2 sticks. Is this stick longer? Is this stick longer? Or are they the same?
The same.
The same? What about now? Is this stick longer? Is this stick longer? Or are they the same?
That stick is longer.
The stick is longer?
Yeah.
Can you tell me why?
Because you moved it over.
So now it's longer.
Yeah.
Okay, tell me. I'm gonna pour blue water into each of these cups, and you're gonna have to tell me when they have the same amount. Okay. this one is the same?
The same.
The same? Those two are the same now?
Yeah.
Okay. Good.
The way that's the same, huh?
Good. Okay, now watch this. We're going to take the blue water from this glass and we're going to pour it into this glass. Now, does this glass have more water? Does this glass have more water, or are they the same?
Has more water.
This one has more water? Can you tell me why?
Because that one's higher than that one.
That one's higher than that one, right? Can you tell me, does this ball have more Play-Doh? Does this ball have more Play-Doh, or are they the same?
That one's has more Play-Doh.
That one has more?
Yeah.
Let's try and make them the same. Make them two of the same size. What about now?
They're the same.
They're the same now?
Yeah.
Okay, now watch. Now, does this one have more Play-Doh? Does this one have more Play-Doh, or are they the same?
That one has more Play-Doh.
That one has more Play-Doh? Can you tell me why?
You smushed that one.
Because that one's smushed. How about now? Does this one have more Play-Doh? Does this one have more Play-Doh, or are they the same?
The same.
Now they're the same. Why are they the same?
You roll that one back up.
Okay, great.
This is representing the theory of conservation and how a typical 4-year-old would respond to one of Piaget's very popular experiments. So you can see in the video a 4-year-old only understanding the objects based on how they appear, and not necessarily that if you change the shape of something, you're not changing the quantity of it. This same child in 3 years, when they reach the age of 7, should have reached that conservation understanding and know that those 2 glasses had the same amount of liquid, and those 2 Play-Dohs are the same exact size. Just because it was smushed or changed, the container was changed, does not change the properties of that object. One thing that Piaget said in one of my readings was that children have a different quality of understanding, but not quantity of understanding. And it's interesting because they're making connections, and they're learning and seeing and representing or sharing what they know to be true, just as rapidly as us as adults, but that their quality of understanding is just a little bit more immature. So his contributions and career, as I mentioned, were vast. In 1955, he built and became the director of the International Center for Genetic Epistemology at Geneva. And this was really a center that studied the philosophy of education. This is really where he spent most of his time researching and writing. Piaget wrote over 60 books and 100 published articles. And he was awarded many prizes and honorary degrees from top universities, including Harvard, Manchester, Cambridge, and Bristol. He passed away in Geneva in 1980, and really, the bulk of his life, he was a psychologist professor in Geneva at one center, where he just studied child development and continued to share his findings with the world. Here are my references, and I hope that you enjoyed learning more about Piaget.